Ladies and gentlemen, there is a path in life that is not easy, not popular, and not for the faint of heart. It's not paved with comfort. It doesn't promise applause, but it guarantees growth. It guarantees strength. It forges character like fire forges steel. That path is the way of the warrior. See, a warrior isn't just someone who fights battles with swords or fists. A true warrior fights the unseen battles, within their heart, within their mind, and against the resistance that rises every time they try to grow. A warrior wakes up every day with one goal: to become better than they were yesterday. And not for applause, not for validation, not for recognition, but because excellence is a requirement, not an option. We live in a world that rewards shortcuts, celebrates comfort, and idolizes ease. But warriors are wired differently. They know that the hardest road often leads to the highest place. They understand that pain isn't something to run from. It's something to learn from. They don't crumble under pressure. They become pressure, because pressure creates diamonds, and warriors don't fear the furnace. They live in it. A warrior is built in the early mornings when the body says sleep, but the mission says move. A warrior is built in the late nights when the soul is tired but the vision says keep going. A warrior is built every time you choose to rise when it would have been easier to retreat. Warriors don't ask for easy. They ask for strength. They don't chase comfort. They chase challenge. They don't whine. They win. And make no mistake, being a warrior doesn't mean being perfect. It means being relentless. It means facing fear with fire in your eyes. It means taking the hit and getting back up stronger. It means staying in the fight when everything in you wants to quit. Because you're not just fighting for success. You're fighting for your future, for your name, for your purpose, for your legacy. So today, if you've ever felt like giving up, if you've ever felt like it's too hard, too late, or too far gone, I challenge you to choose the way of the warrior. Because warriors don't wait for perfect moments, they create them. They don't wait for opportunities, they become the opportunity. And they don't run from battles, they run toward growth. One choice, one day, one fight at a time. A warrior's strength is not in his muscle, it's in his mindset. Because muscles can be torn, weapons can be lost, and the body can grow tired. But when the mind is strong, when the spirit is grounded, and when the heart is locked into purpose, nothing can break a warrior. You see, there are people walking around today who are physically powerful, but mentally fragile. They have the size, but not the stamina. The look, but not the longevity. The warrior, however, isn't built by how heavy he can lift, but by how much he can carry when life gets heavy. What makes a warrior unstoppable is not his arms, it's his attitude. His ability to look at defeat and still see victory. His decision to keep swinging even when he's outnumbered. His refusal to bow to fear, no matter how loud it roars. That kind of strength doesn't come from a gym. It comes from grit, from struggle, from years of saying no to excuses and yes to effort, from falling and rising, failing and learning, crying and continuing. That kind of strength is forged through battles you fight alone when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, when no one even believes in you, but you keep moving anyway. The real warrior understands something most people miss. Battles are won in the mind before they're ever fought on the field. If you believe you're beaten, you'll never win. If you doubt your worth, you'll never rise. If you let fear lead, you'll never take ground. That's why the warrior's first weapon is his thoughts. He guards them. He trains them. He sharpens them. He doesn't entertain weakness. He doesn't allow poison to linger. He speaks life even in lifeless places. He speaks faith even when failure surrounds him, because he knows that a weak mind will always surrender before the body ever has a chance to fight. This is what separates warriors from worriers. The worrier sees an obstacle and says, "What if I can't?" The warrior sees the same obstacle and says, "What if I can?" The worrier backs down from pressure. The warrior steps into it. The warrior overthinks. The warrior outworks. The warrior panics. The warrior prepares. This isn't arrogance. It's alignment. It's choosing faith over fear. It's developing a belief system that refuses to bend to external storms. A mindset that says, even if I lose today, I'm learning. Even if I'm knocked down, I'm not knocked out. Even if it's dark, I am still the light. And this mindset isn't built in a moment. It's built over time. It comes from intentionally putting yourself through challenges, from choosing the hard path, from rejecting the easy exit. It comes from discipline, from waking up early not because you have to, but because you promised yourself growth, from training your mind like you train your muscles, daily, deliberately, with focus and with fire. A warrior doesn't wait for pressure to train. He trains so that when pressure comes, he's already ready. Understand this: comfort is the enemy of the warrior's mind, because comfort breeds weakness, and weakness attracts regret. That's why the warrior is never addicted to easy. He's attracted to elevation. He knows that growth demands pain, that excellence demands effort, that greatness demands grind. So while others seek the shortcut, the warrior seeks the sharpening. He doesn't want it fast. He wants it real. He doesn't chase convenience. He craves challenge. Because he knows that the mind, like steel, is forged in fire, not in feather beds. The mindset of a warrior is marked by resilience. Life will hit you hard. It'll test your faith. It'll stretch your patience. It'll push you past your breaking point. But the warrior doesn't break. He bends. He adapts. He adjusts. He recalibrates. But he doesn't quit. He doesn't fold. Because he knows that pressure is part of the process. That wounds are part of the wisdom. That scars are proof of survival. Every trial becomes training. Every setback becomes strategy. Every enemy becomes elevation. A warrior's mindset is built on principles, not emotions. Emotions come and go, they rise and fall, but principles remain. A warrior doesn't train based on how he feels. He trains based on what he's committed to. He doesn't show up because he's motivated. He shows up because he's loyal. He doesn't need hype. He has habits. He doesn't need comfort. He has commitment. His decisions aren't made by the mood of the moment, but by the mission of his life. That mission is bigger than him. The warrior doesn't fight just for himself. He fights for his family, his future, his faith, his calling, his legacy. That's why his mind stays strong, because his purpose is deep. Shallow motives produce shallow effort, but deep purpose produces deep perseverance. When your why is strong, your will becomes unshakable. The warrior lives by this: I don't stop when I'm tired. I stop when I'm done. He knows the world doesn't owe him anything, so he earns everything. And that mindset isn't just about toughness, it's about clarity. The warrior is clear about who he is, what he stands for, and what he refuses to tolerate. He doesn't need applause to know his value. He doesn't chase opinions, he chases obedience to the vision. He's grounded, focused, alert. And because his mind is anchored, he's not easily shaken, not by criticism, not by delay, not by defeat, because he knows who he is and where he's going. The warrior also understands the power of silence. He doesn't need to announce every move. He doesn't need to prove his worth. He lets his results speak. He lets his consistency scream louder than his words. He knows that lions don't have to roar to prove they're kings. They just walk like it. That's the mindset of a warrior. Calm, confident, controlled, unshaken in storms, unmoved by noise. But don't get it twisted, warriors feel pain. They cry, they bleed, they fall. But they don't stay there. That's the difference. The warrior is not invincible. He's resilient. He feels it, but he finishes. He struggles, but he still shows up. He doubts, but he still decides. Because his mindset has been built to withstand the weight of reality. And that kind of mental strength isn't born. It's built. Day by day, decision by decision, battle by battle. So, if you want to walk the way of the warrior, start with your mind. Guard it, feed it, stretch it, discipline it. Turn off the noise and tune into the truth. The world may be loud with doubt, but your inner world can be loud with belief. Your past may have been full of pain, but your future can be full of purpose. But it starts in your mind. The fight begins there. And if you win that fight, the outside battles become much easier. Tell yourself the truth. Remind yourself of your strength. Affirm your identity. Speak over your storm. Think with faith. Move with power. Show up with fire. That's the mindset that breaks limitations. That's the mindset that ignores fear. That's the mindset that commands respect, not because it demands it, but because it embodies it. That's the mindset of a warrior, because the warrior knows this life may not go as planned. You may get knocked down, rejected, underestimated, misunderstood. But as long as your mindset stays strong, you are still dangerous, still growing, still grinding, still unbreakable. The warrior doesn't need perfect conditions. He creates them. He doesn't need permission. He takes action. He doesn't need everything to be fair. He just needs a fight. Because his power is not in his circumstance. His power is in his conviction, in his character, in his choices. And all of that comes from the same place, the mind. The battle is not around you. It's within you. That's the truth the warrior learns early. It's not the noise outside that breaks a person. It's the doubt inside. It's not the critics who destroy your dreams. It's the voice in your own mind telling you you're not enough. The real war is not out there. The real war is in here, in your thoughts, in your self-talk, in your daily decisions, in the quiet moments when no one is watching but everything is at stake. You can't conquer the world if you haven't conquered your inner world. You can't win battles on the outside when you're constantly surrendering to fear, procrastination, and self-sabotage on the inside. That's why the warrior doesn't just train his body. He disciplines his soul. He confronts his demons. He silences his excuses. He wrestles with his shadows. Because he understands the greatest enemy he'll ever face is the version of himself that settles, quits, and plays small. Too many people are trying to fix their life by rearranging external things, jobs, cities, relationships, routines, without ever confronting the chaos inside. They want peace, but they feed panic. They want progress, but they water their fears. They want change, but they resist growth. The warrior knows better. He knows that the external world is just a mirror of the internal one. When your mind is at war, your life will reflect it. When your soul is unanchored, your decisions will be unstable. That's why the warrior starts from within. The war within is real. It's the battle between faith and fear, between comfort and growth, between discipline and distraction, between who you are and who you were born to be. Every day, the warrior faces that war. And every day, he decides not to let his feelings vote, not to let his past drive, not to let his insecurities steer the wheel. Because he knows if he loses the battle within, he'll lose everything else, no matter how talented he is. Winning the battle within starts with self-honesty. You can't conquer what you won't confront. You can't break chains you refuse to admit are there. The warrior doesn't pretend. He doesn't wear masks. He doesn't lie to himself to feel better. He tells himself the truth, even when it hurts. I'm slipping. I've been lazy. I've been avoiding what I need to face. That truth becomes fuel. That awareness becomes power. Because the warrior knows you can't change what you won't own. That inner war is also a war of commitment. Every day you're tempted to give up, give in, or go back to what's easy. And the warrior hears those voices too. He's not immune to fear or fatigue. He just doesn't obey them. He knows that giving up won't make life easier. It'll make it emptier. He knows that retreating from growth leads to regret, so he recommits. Every morning, every hour, every breath. He reminds himself, I didn't come this far to quit. I didn't fight through fire just to fall now. I didn't crawl through pain just to live average. Because the inner battle is never won and done. It's daily. Just like the gym builds your muscles one rep at a time, mental strength is built one decision at a time. When you choose to get up when you could stay in bed. When you choose to speak up when fear tells you to stay quiet. When you choose to keep going when quitting seems justified. Those are the silent victories no one sees, but they build the kind of warrior who doesn't break under pressure. The battle within is also a war of identity. The world will try to label you. Your past will try to define you. Your failures will try to limit you. But the warrior refuses to let external labels write his internal truth. He doesn't accept limits just because others believe in them. He knows that greatness isn't about where you started. It's about what you decide daily. It's not about what happened to you. It's about what you choose to do now. And he chooses to be bigger than his story, bigger than his wounds, bigger than his excuses. You can tell a true warrior by how they speak to themselves. They don't curse their future. They bless it. They don't replay their pain. They rewrite their perspective. They don't shrink when life screams. They stand when others sit. Because they've trained their inner voice to speak victory, not victimhood. Power, not pity. Purpose, not panic. That inner voice becomes their compass, their coach, their command center. And because it's strong, they stay strong. Understand this: the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more inner mastery. The greatest victories are invisible. The moment you stopped blaming others and took full responsibility, that's a win. The day you faced your addiction, your fear, your self-doubt, that's a win. The morning you got up broken and still chose to rise, that's a win. These victories don't come with trophies, but they create transformation. And the warrior collects them like medals of the soul. The warrior also learns to live above his emotions. Emotions aren't bad, but they're not reliable leaders. One minute they're up, the next they're down. But the warrior is stable, grounded, rooted. He feels, but he doesn't follow feelings. He listens, but he doesn't let them lead. Instead, he lets vision lead. He lets values lead. He lets purpose lead. That's how he stays consistent when others are erratic, focused when others are distracted, committed when others are comfortable. But even the strongest warrior has moments of weakness, moments where the weight feels too much, moments where the pain blinds the path. That's where inner discipline kicks in. Not willpower, heart power. The quiet force that says, I've come through worse. I've healed from harder. I've risen before. I'll rise again. That kind of inner resilience can't be taught in a classroom. It's born in fire. And once it's in you, nothing outside of you can take you out. The warrior wins the inner war by simplifying the battlefield. He stops trying to fix everything at once. He focuses on one decision, one thought, one step. He understands the power of direction over perfection, progress over pressure, movement over misery. That's how momentum is built. That's how strength is developed. That's how mindsets are rewired, through small wins, repeated daily, until they become identity. The warrior also honors rest not as weakness, but as part of the strategy, because a burned-out warrior becomes a broken warrior. The inner war is not about constantly pushing, it's about wisely pacing. Retreat is not the same as defeat. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is pause, breathe, reflect, and then re-engage with renewed fire. Rested warriors fight harder, last longer, and win bigger. And perhaps most importantly, the warrior surrounds himself with truth. He doesn't isolate. He finds mentors. He listens to wisdom. He stays connected to purpose, to principles, to people who sharpen him. He knows that inner strength is sustained by outer accountability. He lets iron sharpen iron, because even the strongest need reminders. Even the boldest need brothers. Even the fiercest need faith. In the end, everything you want, success, peace, purpose, power, it all flows from the inner life. That's why the warrior doesn't waste time trying to control the uncontrollable. He controls himself. He masters his emotions. He chooses his attitude. He disciplines his decisions. Because once the inside is won, the outside will follow. So if you're tired of losing battles in your life, stop looking at what's happening around you. Start looking at what's happening within you. That's where the war is. That's where the fight is. And that's where your victory begins. The battle is not around you, it's within you. And if you win that one, you become unstoppable.